Historically, I don't think any of us have understood this population and where they came from and what they've been through. And I think once any of us understand that, we'll know why, because of their trauma and because of the way they react to stress. Once you understand that, you can have a much different result.
Judge, referrals to catch court were down after Vice closed. So what do you hope for referrals now that you have this new PACT unit?
Well, we're hoping as many women can get help as possible, whatever that number may be. Referrals were down by about 50% at its lowest point, but we have the infrastructure in place currently to double that, and we're hoping that somewhere in the neighborhood of 80 women a year will be good.
Because your program and the court works so closely with this population of women, how much work needs to be done, in your opinion, between Columbus Police and the victims who need help? Is there a trust factor that needs to be reestablished?
Yes, I think when you're out there, and I haven't been out there, so I don't know for sure, but when you're out there, building a consistent relationship of trust, care, and compassion is what they're looking for. So if they have recurrent experiences with the same police officers, if those are positive experiences, overall you'll start to build trust and relationships that can then at some point wind up helping a woman exit that dangerous and deadly lifestyle.
Because at the end of the day, it's about not criminalizing what they're doing, but seeing them as victims, correct?
Right. This is the paradigm between a victim and a defendant. They are committing crimes, and they need to be held accountable for those. However, if you look at the criminology of that, we can interrupt that cycle, and we've proven that in the last 10 years.
We're here today because you're talking to these officers in training, right?
Yes.
What do you want them to know? What are you hoping to teach them today?
I'm hoping that they learn some kind of compassion for the women out there, because I was out there before, and it's really important that they approach the women with a more compassionate manner than aggressive. We don't know, once we're so far in that lifestyle, how to get out or how to get help, and usually our first contact in that process is a police officer.
Can you describe just the treatment, the interactions between officers that you remember not being, what you're telling them about today?
I didn't have extremely terrible interactions with police officers when I was on the streets, but there were times, I would say that, to be honest with you, that I was given a chance, or I was let off, or I was able to go back, and I didn't go to jail, and I wasn't offered treatment. I was just put back out in the streets, when maybe going to jail would have been better for me at that time.
Can you describe going through the program and just kind of how you first were introduced to it, and the steps along the way, just a little bit?
Catch court?
Yeah.
So I was first introduced to catch court. I was in jail, actually, and a catch court graduate came to visit me, and she talked to me about the program. At the time, I wasn't interested. Later on, I went back to jail and was offered the catch court program. I took that program. They wanted me to do long-term treatment, and I wasn't quite ready for something like that, so I opted out and went back out to the streets for a few months longer. And then I asked for the program again for the last time. I asked for the program when I went through it and graduated this last time. I was given a second chance by the catch court and Judge Herbert.
When did you graduate?
2017.
That's in September, right?
Yes.
And then lastly from me, Mandie, how much work do you think Columbus Police has ahead of it out there in the neighborhoods after the reputation of Vice in the last year or so? Do you think everybody can come together to make our streets safer and better?
I do think so. I think that with trainings like this, catch court, and everybody getting involved and knowing what it takes to work with women in the streets, that there could be a better success rate for women to get help, starting with the police officers' interaction.
Why is it important for you to be here today and kind of share your experience and knowledge with these officers that are in training for this?
It's important to me because a lot of the women that are still out there are my friends. They're people I care about. And Catch Court has given me an opportunity at life again, and I feel like I want to do anything I can to help women or the process, the police officers, the court system. I want to do whatever I can to help the women get what I got from Catch Court.
Well, the training is designed to bring a new era of policing to the citizens of Columbus. What the community wants specifically from the Division of Police. Every community group meeting I go to talks about quality of life issues, talks about prostitution, talks about illegal gambling facilities and issues with carryout, selling to underage teens, and a lot of the quality of life issues that we want to focus on, the community demands. This program is designed as a response for the community.
And what makes this training and program different than Vice?
Well, number one, the very most obvious change is that it's not a covert unit. Covert in policing means that they take on an assumed identity. They wear the beards and a lot of times we wouldn't even recognize if we see them out. This is strictly going to be a plainclothes uniform position where we work with both the individuals in a marked cruiser coming in and confronting people making arrests, so there's no mistake that the police are present, and it'll be by officers that work the streets, work the neighborhoods, coming in, making a difference in the neighborhood, and then after a short time going back and taking what they've learned about the neighborhood from a plainclothes position back to the streets and be able to be more effective.
So officers will not be undercover in any way when they go out and do this?
It's an undercover operation. It's not a covert operation.
Okay.
They will have officers, portray either a male officer portray a John trying to pick up a prostitute, or a female officer portraying someone soliciting for prostitution, and will be able to arrest the male out of that. So they will be undercover for that. What our plan is to have the uniform officer come in and actually make the apprehension. That way they know the police are there.
Chief, I've asked the same question of everyone. How much work do you think needs to be done before this new unit hits the streets in reestablishing trust in what we call the Vice unit and this new unit? How much work do you think needs to be done?
We've been laying the groundwork for a long time on this. The officers that we bring in are professional, first of all. They do a great job. They are already in the community and working with people, so they already have those relationships built up. So there is a greater degree of trust there, because they know and trust these individuals. They know they're there in their neighborhood, as opposed to someone's covert that they don't even know exist or ever realize that they're police officers.
Can you talk about the personnel details of this unit and like how often officers are going to be cycling in and out? I know that's one of the big changes.
It'll be event driven. So if we want to do an operation, we're allowed by contract to have people up to 60 days into a unit. But depending on the operation, we could go less than that. We'll bring people in, train them up. Everyone will be properly trained and have consistent operating procedures. We'll put them out and let them do an operation. We may do several in different parts of town, target several things the community are telling us they need. We'll bring community partners into it, faith-based leaders, health, other people in the community that are advocates, courts, Catch Court, others will be partners with us. We'll bring them in, we'll run operations. We can do nuisance abatements on places that are selling to underage teens, after-hours clubs. So once we do all that, we'll move those individuals back to the patrol assignment. They go back refreshed. They kind of have a little bit of a break. They may be more energized. Now they know from a plainclothes perspective what's happening in the area that they may not see in a uniform. So now they can go and start targeting certain areas that the public wants us there and wants us to solve problems.